What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Last you saw me, we went ahead and installed this very nice insulated subfloor system into the bus. The next step in this whole thing is to install some windows, get some nice airflow, get some pockets to be able to open and look out, let some natural light in. It's gonna be really nice. All right, so here I have one of my windows. I got this from recpro.com. From what I can tell, it seems like pretty high quality. Cool thing is it comes with a screen built in. You can kind of see it. There's a built-in screen, which is super cool. Keep the bugs out when the windows are open. That's awesome. But there's one issue that these windows kind of come with, and that is the thickness that it is designed for. This is an RV window, if you can't tell. So it's made for RVs that just inherently have walls that are not as thick as my walls are going to be. These windows are made for a wall thickness of 1.5 inches. When it's all said and done with my walls are going to be right around 3 inches thick from exterior wall to interior finished wall. So how am I going to install my windows? Well, the window comes with the window portion and then a trim ring. The window comes in from the outside, and then you put this trim ring right in there and then screw this trim ring in to basically hold it in place. So the way that we're gonna do it here is we're gonna make basically a double layered box. The first layer is gonna be 1.5 inches thick, corresponding with the thickness that this window is designed to go into. That one is gonna be what the trim ring actually pinches onto. And then kind of over that, there's gonna be a 3-inch piece. And that's what our framing will go into, the interior framing, the strapping, that's what that'll go into. The reason we have to do both is so that the box that the window's in ultimately comes out to be flush with the rest of where the strapping is gonna be. So there's not like a big cavity in the finished wall. And don't worry, that'll all make sense when I actually do it. All right, so we're at the front of the bus, and this is one of the spots that the window's gonna go in. So if my explanation before didn't make much sense, I'll try to kind of go over it again here. So the thickness of this wall, this is like 2 inches right here. The issue is when I'm installing my window, it has nothing to kind of pinch against because this obviously is not 1 inch thick or 1.5 inches thick. So that's why I need to make that interior box. But the reason I need to make a box that goes outside of that interior one is because my strapping, I don't exactly know what I'm gonna do yet with my strapping. I think I'm just gonna strip down sheets of 3/4 inch plywood and kind of double them up as my strapping going along here. So basically it's like 2 inches plus 1.5 inches. So really 3.5 inches total from exterior wall to here. And then this is where all my strapping is gonna go. So basically I want my whole like window box basically to line up perfectly with where my strapping is gonna go. That way when I install my finished walls and everything, it'll be nice and flush and I can make like a finished window sill if I want to or anything like that. So that's kind of the scoop there. All right, so if you can tell, some time has passed. I had some real struggles making my first window box, but I finally got it completed, and I wanted to show you guys so you can better visualize what I was saying just a few minutes ago. So I have my first window box with the window inside. So here you go. So this is one of my 2 foot by 2 foot windows with the box around it. So you have one layer. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, so you can kind of see it's double layered there, right? I should probably take the window out. Alrighty, so here is my window box. So this is gonna be, obviously they're gonna be different sizes for different size windows, but this is like the general construction process that I'm going with for these windows. So kind of see from this angle, it's a multi-layered box. We got one thinner layer here and then one thicker layer here. Right here, we have the first layer that the window trim ring is gonna go into. So you have the thinner layer, and then this thicker layer, I guess this wider layer right here, is made so that when the window is pushed up against the wall like that, this side is flush with where my strapping is going to be on the interior. Let me move the camera and show you what I mean. All right, so basically we have the box. Window trim ring goes in from this side, pinches between this and the window coming from the outside. And then this outer edge, you can see it's a little bit out from where this hat channel is. That's because I'm gonna have 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood that are right on top of this. So let me go grab a couple. All right, so basically it's gonna be doubled up 3/4 inch plywood, so 1.5 inches of thickness out from the hat channel. And it's meant to pretty closely line up with where the window box ends. This is gonna be pushed in just a little bit more so it'll line up pretty nicely. But that's the whole idea. So when I strap my bus all the way down the sides, these are kind of gonna butt up against it and it's gonna be nice and flush going down the window. That way when I put my finished walls on the interior, everything's nice and in plane, if that makes sense. I got my rough, well, hopefully not too rough outline of where I need to put my cuts. So I guess now there's nothing left to do but make my cuts. So I got the hole pretty much cleaned up here. I just did a little test fit from the inside and it fit pretty nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my box up, clamp it in up top to where I want it, and go in from the outside and see how it looks on that end and make sure it all fits in with the box as well. Well, the video cut out, so I guess I'll have to video a whole other one, but it's in there. You can see the screws got set. It's not like the prettiest thing in the world. The trim ring doesn't fit 100% exactly like I would want it, but it works. And the nice thing is I'm basically gonna have some finished material covering up all of this trim ring right here. So you won't even see this, and it's gonna look really nice when it's all finished. Ooh, I guess I should probably see if it still closes, huh? Let's see. Go, screen, nice window. Oh, it's not the smoothest thing in the world, but it closes. And does it lock? Yes, it does. Yes, indeed. Let's go see the outside. I think that looks pretty good. Pretty square, nice and clean. Nice and flush. The butyl tape is not squeezing out as much as I anticipated, but it was also like a thinner one. So over the course of the next few days, it should keep squeezing out with all the pressure that's squeezing the window together. So it'll create a really nice seal in there, but I mean, I'm pretty happy with that, honestly. It looks pretty nice. I don't know, what do you guys think? Only 7 more of these to go. 1 more of that size, 4 more 18 by 29, and then 2 18 by 18. So just got to do all that 7 more times and we will have a full bus of windows once again. Alrighty, it is a new day starting on the rest of the windows. I went ahead and made, yesterday it was raining pretty hard, so I thought it was a great opportunity to just make all the boxes. So I made all of my window boxes for the rest of my windows. I have 7 more windows to put in. But I wanted to point something out before I start this, and that is I made these boxes a little bit differently than I made the first box. The first box, if you remember seeing, was 3 1/4 inch on the outside portion of the box as far as thickness goes, and then the inside was 3/4 inch, and that was because it was weird the way these windows come packaged and they ship to you, the trim ring sits on the window like this. Let me see if I can find one. Oh, here we go. So, and this, like, none of the windows came with instructions on how to install it or anything, so I was super confused and I was trying to figure out what I was doing. So all the windows that I got came shipped like this. So you have the trim ring kind of sitting there, and then the gap here is 3/4 inches right here. The actual way that they're supposed to go is you're supposed to flip it, and it's supposed to sit on the channel like this, and then pinch it. So then that gap in there is 1.5 inches. And I knew that these windows were made for 1.5 inch thick walls. I don't know, I didn't think about it too much. I was just like, oh, they came packaged that way. That's how they're supposed to be. And it does work that way. I mean, the windows in there, it's really solid. There's no gaps and there's no leaks. So it works just fine. I'm gonna go ahead and I think start on this next one on this side, this long one, and see how that goes. We can go ahead and get to that. All right, next rough outline in. If you can't tell, I am not very good at this, but gonna go ahead and get this cut. I have a rough idea of where I need to be. Just make sure I'm inside the lines, and then we can clean it up once the hole is there and make sure the window fits nice and snug. All right, that hole looks much cleaner than the first time I cut that hole. Still don't think it's gonna be big enough, so I'm gonna have to come and like sneak up on those lines a little bit just to get the window to fit. But nice, yeah. Just a couple little parts that aren't particularly straight or smooth. Not bad. All right, I think that's a pretty good fit. A lot easier than the first time. I made sure to really, like the first time I was being really conservative with my cuts and just really afraid that I was gonna cut the hole too big. So this time around, I cut a little bit closer to the actual line that I drew, just so I wouldn't have to spend so much time cleaning it up. And you know, I only spent maybe like 5 minutes cleaning up those lines and she fits. So next step is gonna be going ahead and putting a layer of butyl rubber tape on the inside portion of this gasket, like right in here, and then going in from the outside, putting the window in, getting the box, putting the box in, and then trim ring, get it all secured, and we got another window. Alrighty, so window number 2 installed. The box looks a little bit wonky, at least from my view. I think it's just because this piece of wood is warping. I can't really, I might just be delusional. No, it's definitely higher on this side, but from the outside, the window looks totally square. So I'm not upset about it. Plus this whole window box, at least a mess in here. This whole window box is going to be hidden anyway, so I'm not too worried about it looking a little off kilter. But the window's pretty solid. I'm starting to get the hang of the process here. So I got one more 2-foot window. It's going to be a mirror image of that one. And then I got one more 18 by 29, which now that I'm looking at it, I don't know. I think I'll keep it that way. I do kind of like having them both be right next to each other, but I think it would be nice to have one there and one there, like a little gap above the couch. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it that way. And then I have 2 more, don't pay attention to the size of these tapes. These are gonna be 2 more 18 by 29 inch windows. So these same teardrop windows are gonna go right here and here. This is where my dinette's gonna go. And then the last 2 after those are gonna be these 18 by 18 inch windows that are for my bedroom area. So one on either side. For now, I'm not sure what I will end up doing there, but for now it's gonna be one there, right above either side of my bed. Gosh, dude, I am just getting freaking metal chips just slanging at me. That thing needs a freaking guard, but pretty good hole. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up and get that window in. First try. Didn't even need to clean up the hole. I am getting good. One issue, how am I gonna, I guess I'm gonna have to, that's the roof, by the way, right there. I'm gonna have to sit on the roof to put this thing in. Bummer, bummer, bummer in the summer. Well, I would argue that this window was installed almost perfectly. The only thing that I would have done differently is I would have cut the hole slightly smaller. That's the only gripe I have with it. It's still, like, I'll show you from the outside, but it is like pulled absolutely flush, as flush as it can possibly be with the outside of the wall. So I'm really happy with that. Still opens and closes and everything. Got that, I busted out the level and it's nice and level, says the bubble. I mean, come on. Not that a level really means much inside a bus, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. It's really solid. And this is the first time I did it correctly with the trim ring. And I mean, trim ring just looks so much cleaner, honestly. All right, only took 3 tries. You know what they say, a third time's a charm. Let's go see it from the outside. Pardon the limited view here, I'm on the roof. But, I mean, come on. That window just looks pretty. You can see a couple places where the butyl is squeezing out of there. The unfortunate part is, since I cut the hole a little bit bigger than I was anticipating, this flange here on the window that has the gasket behind it, that covers up any gaps, which is great. So, you know, there's no gaps in the actual window to the wall. But since it was cut a little bit bigger than I expected, the butyl tape didn't actually push against the wall in the majority of the spots around the window. So I think what I'm gonna have to do on this one particular is just come around with like a little bead of sealant and just get the spots where the butyl didn't cover. That's a pretty minor thing. Honestly, like for a couple reasons. I have this rain guard here, which is going to stop any water directly coming in from the top. There's also those weep holes that you can see down below that should, in theory, catch any water that kind of gets trapped in between here and let it flush out. The other thing too is when I do my insulation, I'm going to do spray foam insulation. So it's a naturally a vapor barrier, just itself. But that should stop any water from getting in and causing any damage to anything around it. I'm not really concerned with this thing leaking, but I'm still going to come around and get in a tiny little layer, tiny little bead of sealant, just to, you know, can't hurt, right? More sealant, not a bad thing.
3 hours later.
All right, so here is the whole view. You can see my 1, 2, 3 in the back that you saw me install on this side. And I went ahead and installed the other 5 on this side. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the back. So just give you a quick run through of my space and the layout that I'm gonna have. Pardon the garbage, I just finished vacuuming up all the crap in here, but this is gonna be kind of like, you know, my entryway, and then I'm gonna have my couch here with a little storage cubby, kind of as you walk in for things like maybe shoes, keys, dog treats, dog leash, whatever that you're gonna need like going out the door. I got a couple windows above there, which will be great. My plan is to potentially, so like here's my kitchen. My plan is to potentially have like a little, like a projector screen that can pull down over like my sink and stove area, like in front of these windows, so that if I feel like hanging out on the couch watching a movie or something, I can mount a projector there or something of the sort. That's why I kept that kind of space open in the middle. But I like how that turned out. I'm gonna have my dinette here, and I really wanted a couple windows that if I'm sitting on one side and someone else is sitting on the other, that we can both look out a window and have a view. And this kind of serves as a bigger window. I know I might have mentioned to you guys that I could have put in some bigger, like 4 foot long or 4 foot wide windows, I guess. The issue with that would be that I had to take out some hat channels, which I could have done, and it probably wouldn't have been a huge deal. But one, that felt like a whole lot more work. And two, I might have been worried about the structural integrity of it. But I like how that turned out. And then I got my other one in my bedroom area. So my bedroom, you know, I got my bed here, got a couple windows on either side, which is great. And then I got my emergency door for my kind of bathroom window. The reason I put well, I'm not going to do a window in the bathroom because this is where, well, okay, don't quote me on that. I might in the next few days decide I really do want to put a window there because this is where my shower is going to be. But my initial thought was not to do that. So I think I'm just going to stick with that. But I wanted my toilet right here so that when I need to, you know, empty out all the business, I can just flip this door open and then come out from the other side and take it through and not have to lug it through the living area. That's why I did that. And that serves as another window too. Obviously I'll like do something to have a little bit of privacy on there, but yeah, no window in the bathroom. And then this space is going to be like my pantry, fridge, and then a little bit of counter space here. So I couldn't really put a window. I guess I could have put like one more little window there, but just stuck with two. And these are the other two that you saw me install in my kitchen area. So that's going to be great. I did it to where I would have one above my sink and one above my stove. I still have not decided which orientation I'm going for. I'm thinking stove sink, but maybe I'll flip it. I'm not really sure, but I don't know, man. I really like how it turned out. Let me know what you guys think. 8 windows completely in the bus. Looks pretty good. I'll be the first to tell you guys they're not perfectly installed. They're not going to leak, so I'm not concerned about them leaking, but I mean, this one was probably the best one I installed, and even this one's not perfectly straight and level. You know, the trim rings weren't really cooperating all that well. A lot of them were breaking on the holes. They weren't pulling tight in certain spots. The way I got around it not pulling as tight is I just put some shims behind the spots that were kind of gapped. So I got some in there. I got one down in here. Probably gonna put another one. Oh, nope, I already did. Put some shims down in this one. Little shim there. For whatever reason, I haven't figured it out. For whatever reason, there were just certain spots along the window that wouldn't pull tight no matter how much I screwed in. And you can see like I put in additional screws in these corners because I broke that one, but like additional screws in these corners because it just wasn't pulling, and I was trying to figure out why it wasn't pulling, and I still can't figure it out. But those shims seems to do the trick. And then when I have spray foam in here and everything, those shims aren't going anywhere, so that's going to work out just fine. So that's the window install. Pretty easy, honestly. The windows in total cost me about $1,200 after taxes and shipping from recpro.com, which really isn't too bad. They are much more well insulated than the school bus windows, the stock school bus windows. They're double pane, so I guess they're just double as efficient with insulating, even though it's still a window, so it's not really that efficient. But they also have built-in screens, which is huge. I don't want bugs flying all over the place in my house. So these screens are gonna be huge for keeping bugs out, especially in the summertime. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, that's it for the window install. Next step is gonna be framing. So I'm gonna be framing the entirety of the interior of the bus from the cockpit back. And I'm gonna be framing in a way where I'm gonna be doing horizontal framing, strapping as it's called. And I'm gonna be doing horizontal framing. It's gonna be butting up against these window boxes to really hold them in place, but they're gonna be basically just screwed in along the way on these hat channels. I'll get more into that in the actual framing video, but once that's all done, we're kind of in the home stretch, or at least it feels that way. We actually start doing some real deal stuff. It's gonna be all the electrical work, at least all the wiring is gonna be happening after I frame out the interior. So that's the plan. Yeah, so let me know what you think about these window installs. If you think there was a better way to do it, let me know. I'm not gonna redo it, but it would be nice to know, I guess. And I'm sure other people would appreciate it. I think this solution, if you're gonna be doing RV windows, is a pretty good one. The majority of people that are gonna be doing a school bus conversion aren't gonna go through the hassle of doing a roof raise, doing an insulated subfloor, or taking out the stock windows. So the majority of this build might not even be applicable to the majority of Skoolie converters. Although I would recommend, if you're doing a Skoolie conversion, just to think about the added benefit of all of these things that I'm doing, just for long-term livability and comfort. It's just gonna add an enormous amount of comfort and practicality to my living situation with having all these additions in there. So let me know what you think about the windows, and make sure to come back for the next one where we do all the interior framing. It's gonna be sweet.